we want to start noticing. And I speak to that because as I went through a big shift, probably last year, I noticed that just even touching my legs, it was really disorienting for me. But as soon as I moved them up to my heart and higher, I felt really good. So you've got so much receptors, obviously, all over your body, but your hands are going to help you direct the energy. And this is why we've got all sorts of awesome techniques like tapping and mudras and at large. Yeah.
So when your hands are on your body and it's not feeling so well, is it negative? Is that a negative thing, or
it's more just you got so much energy pouring into that area. It doesn't feel so good to have the energy moving in the way that it's moving, or that it's moving such a density. Excuse me, that's moving a lot of energy. It's moving a lot of energy from right there, and it can feel like, whoa, that's a little bit too much too fast. And so you moving your hands and being a researcher of your own body and your own consciousness, you're going to go, oh, that feels better. Okay. So you could start playing with that. And this is when you're just subtly sensitive. I'm not wishing subtly sensitivity on anybody. I'm wishing you to be so balanced and whole. But as you find yourself shifting and changing, you may notice to play with your hands.
I have to ask, does that relate to feet as well? Because I have found lately for myself, I want to put my feet together.
Yes, all of it.
Okay.
So the feet especially, and shoes. I got to take this off, sorry. Shoes, and I've talked about this before, if you start, again, you're intuitively getting guidance that you need to be barefoot one day, like, and being barefoot in a certain place. Whereas I've been guided, sometimes I have to be barefoot for some place, and then I go to the next lot or the sidewalk and they want shoes on. Or they don't want me to be barefoot at my house at one point, the last house. Because I was doing such big plane adjustments, I was lifting into higher planes of existence. Let me explain that on the board. So your body essentially is your own ascension school. So if you dream about a building, a school at night, remember everything that's within is without. So we're here to evolve. This is like beautiful Teddy said, this is school. We're here for school, for Earth School. We all signed up to this awesome place. And when you're working with your own body, we talk a lot about when we're here that it's like this is like an elevator. And so up your elevator doors are your energy centers. And this is just the traditional 7. We also want to look at the Earth Star and the Soul Star. And so as we're understanding that, wow, let's say you feel like some indigestion or you feel your digestion really moving. Well, a lot of your energy is moving in that area, that second or third energy center at that time. So it's almost like you're exiting out a lot of your energy, bless you, out of your solar plexus, your digestion. Like this is an elevator door to get out to this plane of existence. So these are also, if you're muscle testing, we're going to do an exercise today that will look at this. I'm going to put us on an exercise just to see where's the majority of your essence, your soul essence, wanting to bring your awareness to. Like if I told you right now, let's just start there. Up your midline, where does your attention go? Point to it. Point or put your hand on the area that you just, and there's no right or wrong. It's just, we're just getting to see what elevator door you're working with right now. Good. And as every moment changes, it might be a new elevator door. And sometimes it's like multiple elevator doors open. Sometimes they all open. And you're coming out from like a bigger presence. You're literally occupying the all of existence. You're not just compartmentalizing yourself into the aura of your soul packet, but you're like holding this space. That you're not just in the body, you're everywhere. So those times it might feel like the whole elevator door shaft opens and like you're everywhere. And these are these great times when we are in deep meditation, like we really do open up and spread out beyond just one elevator door. And when we do exit the body, when you're traveling in dream time or you have an out of body experience, obviously you've left the building, you know, like literally. And sometimes some of us, Jorge, sometimes, and I'm going to call you out, but I just did, apologize. Sometimes we're multitasking. We're here, but we also have a portion of our essence, you know, that goes out and is off in another world doing something else. But you're here. It's not like we're not listening to each other. I do this a lot, especially with my partner, like multitasking. Like I really am listening to you, but I'm also, you know, there's a higher level of guidance come in, and I'm doing my best to stay present with both. Did you want to say something? Okay.
Just thinking about doing that with partners. Do I do that?
And I find I know I did it because I really don't remember all the details, you know, that they were telling me.
Oh, I do that with my daughter.
Yeah. So I do my best, like, okay, get the information. Hold on, I'm getting a download, you know, and then, okay, let me be present with you, like 100%. So when we are just playing, for me, when I started playing with this in my 20s, of like, I was practicing craniosacral therapy with children. I was sent all the children who had the most difficult cases. And I went to school and got a master's in occupational therapy. And on my graduation day, I meditated, the graduation night. I meditated and I heard from Great Spirit, is how I was talking then, and Jesus I was working a lot with, that I wasn't going to use my degree, but that I needed to open up a healing center. So my parents came for the master's, you know, ceremony the next day. There's a whole nother part of this I'd love to tell you, but we go too deep. Along with, just if you're ever with me or you hear me talk about this, Monroe Lee in his silver suit in his spaceship showed up. So Monroe and my mother and father all showed up for my banquet the next day, or my ceremony. And I told them, look, I was meditating last night and I heard I need to open up a healing center. And my dad's like, yay, you figured it out. I'll give you the house in Ozona. And so coming back, I immediately was kind of thrusted into this spiritual life that nobody was talking about, you know, at least not around me. There wasn't a lot of people talking about the things that I was getting kind of wind of. So all of these, you know, children started coming to me to get specialized training with the cranial sacral. I immediately got yoga certified. Reiki was already under my belt because thankfully in Gainesville, there was a Reiki school down the street from my house when I was like literally starting a kind of rebellion at University of Florida. I created Find Ease, where isn't it just that we have the dis and ease and we just need to help people find ease instead of doing all these surgeries? So I kind of went rogue and had all the master's students in my Find Ease program. Anyways.
What year was that, Elasa?
That was in like 99. Yeah. So I came back, like I said, with Reiki under my belt, got yoga certified immediately, and started studying cranial sacral therapy with Upledger. And that led me to kind of have my OT license, my occupational therapy license, so that I could get my foot in the door for children's places to let them know what I was up to in Ozona. And I was, like I said, sent all these children. And that's when I started investigating, you know, through meditation, because I was talking to the body of these children, because that's how you're trained to, like, literally, you can hold the body and the cranial sacral rhythm will give you yeses and nos, kind of like what we do with the muscle testing now. And the body stopped talking. Body consciousness stopped. And we weren't taught in Upledger at that time, at least the classes I attended, we weren't really taught to talk to the soul. But the soul is what wanted to speak. And so I started listening to these children's souls, and they were having like miracles left and right. Things were shifting. And so that's kind of what I did for 10 years, was saw a lot of children, of course, families, you know, up on the table, lots of families.
So when you would be doing craniosacral, listening to their soul, and then what their soul told you, then what would
Finding
you
the conception point and finding what they were really caring for their parents a lot of the time. It was a lot of, parental things that the child was expressing, which we all know.
And would you just talk to their soul and then it would heal?
I would talk in telepathy. I would be talking to their soul. And the child, I let the child just sit on the table and maybe with some crayons, I put crystals in there and they would, just talk. Usually the children, they tell you everything right away. They're just like, yeah, and I put my finger through the door and, but a lot, like I said, I always invited the parents in so that it's more of a family session to evolve and open up. So as I started playing within myself and my meditations and the soul started to speak, I started to understand what I'm telling you now. I was given the map. I was told I had to start teaching ascension circles. No one was talking about that. I didn't know what it was. I Googled it, I think we had Google back then. I looked it up on the internet. Netscape, yeah. And and it's, ascension, there was things popping up. There was mystery schools out there. It just wasn't like right in my awareness how it is now. But I just would meditate and dialogue with my consciousness. And if you've heard me talk before about this kind of portion of my life, it was like strong body would talk for a while, obviously, because I was doing cranial sacral therapy. Then it started to work to the inner child because I'm working with all these children. And then it started to work with, sometimes it wouldn't actually give me a yes for the inner child. I'd have to say wounded child for it to give me a yes and start talking back to me. And that moved up the ladder to ego, to soul, to archetype, to angel, to causal, to another level of my soul, and higher self began to show me that they were different voices. And above the higher self, it went to the oversoul, and then it went to the monad, and then it went to source, and then it went to the unknowable, and then it went all over the place. We're still kind of understanding what's beyond the beyond. So I tell you that because Spirit, when I meditated this morning with you all, I asked, what is the highest and best that I can share with everybody? And we all came together as a monad. So monad means the one in Latin. And so the one, when I'm working with monad, typically it's like a group of people have come together with soul contracts to work together. And we're monadically expressing ourselves everywhere. Like you can't get away from being the monadic expression because you're in Publix and there's a monad. We're in here's our monad. Everywhere we are, we're finding our groups of people are working together. It's just sometimes you may be more focused on that. Like you may ask your consciousness, what am I working with right now? Monad. Oh, what do I need to know about this? That you're helping the collective evolve to a higher plane of existence today. And this is a real example. This is what our monad is saying right now. And so when I met with you all this morning on the fire, it was the monad expressing itself and us understanding the oversoul concept. They really wanted me to make sure I get this across to you. So when we're looking at, like I said, these are the typical energy centers. Is everybody familiar with your typical 7 energy centers?
Are they chakras?
Yes, chakras. Is anybody not familiar? So I don't want to jump too fast. Don't be embarrassed if you don't know it either. Everybody good?
Yeah.
Energy centers, chakras. And I say energy centers because part of my download at one time was Spirit wanted me to work more with energy centers rather than chakras because they were yet another overlay that needed to be adjusted from a time and place where the avatar was manipulated. And so I was asked to dissolve, dismantle, release the chakras and allow my energy centers to reveal themselves. And that started to shift from from spirals to star points. And that's when I realized I was a walking constellation. and that I was actually I was full light. And once I started, I mean, you catching this? You tracking me? You following? If it doesn't, and it's fine. Whatever it does, it's meant to. But as those star points started to reveal themselves, and how they revealed themselves was me learning to stabilize my emotions, to become really stellar at not getting triggered. Just to be like, yep.
Yeah.
You know?
So,
Let's say that. So. And to be able to maintain the witness, you hear me talk about that a lot. And also just like learn about the balance of that energy center, you know? Learn about the strong polarities, because we're all human. We're in this experience, and there's so much subconscious programming that we have to like pay attention to if we actually want to go deeper on our research. So I started to stabilize that, and really, and it wasn't like I pushed it. It was like that was what my spirit guided me to do. How? Because I sit my butt on the ground every morning and I meditate. And I tune in and I ask questions. Since my teenage years, this is all I've done. And how did I know to do that? My mom. I saw her sitting in the grass my whole life outside. And so, you know, I was like, well, she's doing it. You know, so I learned to sit. Again, like I said, we came from a melting pot. Yes, I was growing up Catholic, my father's experience. And I was like seeking there, like I loved going to the church because I wanted communion. I wanted to like really connect. And I had deep cries with Yeshua, Jesus, Issa. I call him Master Issa now. And I wanted to like know the truth. So it took me to, like I said, sit and meditate. And still to this day, even this morning, you know, I'm like, I get up, I'm like, okay, like, you know, what's happening today? And it's exciting, you know, to like sit with self and with the group. So the group you all showed me that beyond, we need to start acknowledging these energy centers and noticing where we're gravitating to, just for research purposes. You know, there's no right or wrong. It's just like, where am I today? Where am I right now? Or when you're doing your meditation, what needs to be known right here? What level of consciousness wants to speak? And I just found that this mapping system, it is connected to certain archetypes or certain aspects of self. So you will learn your own map, meaning if the map system that I share with you really resonates, like use it, you know, because just use maps until they no longer work for you. Or if you've got another mapping system, like if, you know, when you talk to your soul, it was always your heart, then yeah, like go there. Like that would be the map. And maybe I'll make a meme. I've made it before, but I'll make a meme about the aspects today and try to get it to you all. So the body consciousness is the first energy center that when I'm looking at, you know, if I gravitate my energy to this area or my knees or my feet, that kind of can all be included. I might ask, is it my body consciousness that wants to speak? Yes. Okay. And again, that's just very like basic. It may not do that. It may be that your soul wants to speak and that you get gravitated to your root, to your knees, anywhere in your body. You following me still? Mm-hmm. The second energy center has a strong connection for me to the child, to the inner child. The third is the ego or the personality. The fourth is the astral self. The fifth is the archetypal self. The sixth is angelic. And the causal or God self. And then I start going to soul star, the soul. And then I get to 9. So this is 8. And then 9 is his higher self. And so the soul and the higher self, before I move on to above that, it really started to have like different voice. And I was like, at that time in my 20s, I was like, wow, I just thought higher self and soul were the same thing. But Spirit revealed to me for where I was at in my learning phase, I needed to understand that yet there was this even higher energy. And now I understand even different. But at that time, there was this even higher pool of energy that was like My soul plus 11 other souls. A group. Does that make sense?
Yes, it's just resonating with something else. Sorry.
Okay, good.
What was that one?
The higher self. So it's like this group of 11 other, souls plus mine.
Who are those?
I
other
thought that
souls?
was
Why
like-
is that?
I thought that was the
Say more
monad.
things.
I thought that was the monad.
Not yet. And that would be a good question to ask, consciousness, like why? And that's what I mean. That's just like, it's so exciting because we all have so many whys, And to me, like when someone tells me to meditate, if I've got questions, I'm not going to be able to fully deeply drop out until I get my questions answered. So that's why all these things came in my reality, because I had a lot of questions and I needed answers. Otherwise, I was a neurotic mess as a child. Constantly crying, constantly like, what in the heck am I doing here? So like distraught about everything I saw going on in the world. So I needed answers. And this gave me peace of mind. And once I was able to get those questions answered, then I can go out and get blissed out and open up really wide. But coming back to this, so this started showing that the higher self had a different voice. It's like a pool of energy, a pool of other souls helping you. So you might have like a higher self group. Now, like I said earlier, it kind of even means more things to me now. Like it's your higher self. It's who you really are, it's another level. So, but in this mapping system that I was revealed, then I went up to the number 10, which is the Oversoul.
Could the higher self be like 12 different aspects of your?
Our best life as Oversouls, being willing to allow our identities to shift a bit, which means what? If we're living in our best life, if we're being asked to program our existence to be the best life, then we got to get a handle on being in the best mood a lot, on thinking really amazing thoughts a lot of the time. And even, I say that like it's not like it's a bad thing if you have a dark night of your soul, your Oversoul, because there is no, in the wholeness and the witness understanding, and it's all good. It's just you have to see it as all good.
Yeah.
Yes.
There's this concept in Kabbalah of like having your best day essentially. It's just 51%.
Yes.
Just one little percent over the half.
Yeah.
And like ending things like a day on a good note essentially.
Yeah.
So it kind of put things in perspective of like it's just at that point you can.
Yep. One more, just one little tip. Tip the scale. So if we actually, now I'm feeling like I'm in a cave. This is how sensitive I am. My husband would be like, we go to the restaurant and he's like, I'll be like, where do you want to sit? And he's like, don't even try to say that he can tell us where we're going to sit, because you're going to move us around.
Yeah.
Right?
I got to. I got to.
I'm the same way.
I'll be changing the chairs. I'll be all of a sudden coordinating tables, So let me make sure I got everything that they was wanting to share on so far. So my super intelligence, yes, working together as a monadic tribe, correct. Did we get all the information out that was necessary on the Oversoul monad? Not yet. You want to talk about how when a tribe of Oversouls come together, you're able to facilitate a greater effect of change for the collective, which is the monadic existence that you're participating with right now. And so would we say that the monadic participation is like this whole area? Yes, like all the people we have contact with, correct. So would that be like multiple monads? Yes. And do I have 100% of all the information that's necessary to keep going now? No. You also need to understand that the changes that are taking place within your bodies are also what's necessary for you to allow for the liftoff. So to be willing to do more superconscious cleansings as always, so that it's easy for you to be light.
What about like what's going on now with the solar flares and like next 9 days and all that? How is all this connected to
That's
what
us.
you're doing?
That's us, I just said.
Oh, we're doing the solar flares? Okay. 'Cause
But
we're-
finish your question. I was just, that
well,
chimed
no,
in.
I was just, as you were talking, that it just kind of came. It's like, oh, well, how is that connected to all this?
Right? And that kind of started where they wanted me to share with you about, am I on the right line? Yes. So see, I'm also using a little bit of muscle testing when I touch myself. That comes from cranial sacral. I can feel for yeses and for nos. So I'm just reminding all these little things, what's really going on here. Because I want to surf my consciousness. I want to surf the answers, if you've ever been a surfboard. So I want to like kind of, I'm hearing it and I'm speaking it. And then I'm using also a little bit of yes and no questioning right now so that I really stay on that strong stream of consciousness that I'm listening to. And I use the am I complete, right? Like I'm not going to jump to the next thing.
Stacked up particles.
Yeah. I want to really receive it. And this is where we start to understand our aspects of self, like not getting like, off to the side. And that there's no wrong turn. But sometimes I'll get off to the side because I just think that's what Spirit's wanting me to talk about. And I'm the Spirit, this is all self. But if I'm really working to deliver the highest and best information to myself every now moment when I'm in this kind of mode, then I make sure, like, am I complete? Am I really speaking to, my super intelligence? And I gave it a little bit more extra description just earlier. I said monadic, Oversoul. Yes, you're on. And now I'm hearing that. You're on. And so I started to, can I keep going? What about the star? Yeah. So I started earlier speaking about how one time we got in the assignment, we were leading retreats at the Dome in Crystal Beach. And Spirit had us lay on the deck outside in the middle of the night. And Satori and I were able to make our stars literally drop and like merge into us. And so, and then it led to last night, we were here for a group, and the group went after here to see the meteor shower, out at the beach. So my point is, as I'm seeing the stream of consciousness around examples and thoughts coming to me and reality that's expressing itself with a meteor shower, for me to also download us, yes.
And outside, as you're speaking, as outside influences, such as the EE system,
Yeah.
which is working constantly to assist us on that level also.
Yeah. Yeah.
What's the EE system?
So that's the energy enhancement system over on Klosterman. And they're all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you have this one here as well.
And we have the plasma generator. We have lots of generators going on here as well. We've got the love system, our technology we developed in that little nook. We got the walls activated. But again, we're all holding these pillars of light, mainly just ourselves. We're like, we've got more energy than EE systems times Godzillion. So we're like outpouring all this energy because we're super consciously evolving ourselves and being willing to be love and to be who we are. And so what I was wanting just to get across, though, is that we are the stars. We are star stuff. And every time we do our due diligence to meditate, to be present, to be loving, and to do any digging of our particles that are left in a big density packet, whether we're like doing the Akashic Records and asking our consciousness who, what, when, where, why. When you do that, you do such a service to yourself, to your star reformating, but also to everyone else around you. Because you free up density and big anchors in the field and in your body. So every time you're doing all those things I just listed, your Taurus, your soul's movement that runs through your spine in every direction, you're becoming more light. Literally, you become the star that you always were. And so you start glowing. I mean, a lot of you in here right now, I can see your glow, right? We can see the aura glowing even more. So when we acknowledge that of what is inner, law of correspondence, is outer, and we see there's a meteor shower going on right now, we can make best use, just like we want to make best use of storms, because that's a lot of plasma light, which is light. It's just a different form, I want to say. It's a different phase.
It has different structure.
Different structure and different vibration. So we want to like use these outer events to go, oh, let me like breathe that in. And if there's all these, like, what is a meteor shower? Does anybody know? What's happening?
Lots of shooting stars.
Particles moving? Energy?
Meteors. Shower. Meteors exploding.
Yeah. And if all is self and everything we see, right close to us, we can see, like, you can find the symbolism of how you're creating a reality. But when we go way in the heavens, well, to me, that would mean we're working on the oversoul and the monad.
I feel called to say this. I was researching the meteor shower yesterday, and I wanted to share this when you said that the meteor shower comes every year, or X amount of time, different ones.
Yeah.
So it's like we get a chance to revisit that old packet with new eyes, new receiving is the way I felt about it. It keeps coming every periodically. And that's the way I looked at it. Anyway,
Totally.
Is that we are going through old information that we've gone through before, whether we were physically here then or not.
Yeah.
It's something that we've experienced before, and we get a chance to now do it with all of the knowledge we've gained. And it's like reprocessing. And then what we put back out is like a whole new, everything's new. Meteor showers are magical, right? Like,
yeah.
And when you do review it, you say, what lens was I looking at life in then?
Yes.
A new lens. So it still might be the old, but it's still new.
Yeah.
Bring new information because you're looking through it from a different lens.
Yes.
From a higher source.
Yeah. And you literally, if most of your energy, like, okay, let's just say you've been really strong with your archetype. You've been like showing up, taking names, being the best warrior, mother, whatever, you've been really working with. And you're like, maybe you mastered your career. You're just feeling like there's a big change coming. Like you don't even resonate with the archetype you've been holding, with the path you've been doing. You mastered it. You feel done. Mm-hmm. This is when, for me, the oversoul, my bigger consciousness starts to open up really big. And I got to sit still because I'm starting to change. And I'm the meteor shower. And so now all in the heavens is like, boom, boom, and I'm like, literally, all this light particle is moving itself around. And I'm reformulating myself. I'm sitting in meditation. I don't have to just sit the whole time meditation, although there has been times when that's been occurred and it was really wild. But I may be still, doing a lot, but I know that there's like a big change coming. And some of you have, I don't know if you're here today, she's not here, Dawn. It's like, how long is this going to last, And I find it can last a long time or short. I do feel that the more super conscious you want to focus in on it, you can get the strong intel and get an assignment so it doesn't feel so long, like writing a book or something. And then by the time you're done with that assignment, you're probably ready to get back out there again, and you've changed your form. You've stepped into a new identity. So meaning from like being really spread out, all of a sudden it's like you come back in and you're super concentrated. And you're a star. You're really shining, right? Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Kinda, sorta, some of it. Can I add this one thing in? Yeah. So I'm getting these downloads, that I'm this star. And then I start like morphing inside my body. like it's getting pretty hot in there. And I get told to start looking up and understanding the way stars change form. How they go to a sun and a supernova and a blue dwarf, and how they literally keep opening and then combusting and changing form to nothingness and then getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I started realizing that's what happens with us. We keep doing this Akashic work. We keep gathering all of our light particles home. We keep really doing the dig of our personal consciousness and the collective consciousness. We become really big. We always are, but we become aware and we start occupying this huge sun source, this huge star. So that's for some of you. I needed to tell you that.
I want to hear more about the star changes.
The star changes?
Like what they do.
What do you mean?
Well, like you said, it bursts into nothingness and then it does something
You
else.
get bigger. So I was going through so many changes. I felt like I was busting open. You know, this happened. I was asked to research all of that when I was at the dome, right? So I'm in this huge geodesic dome mansion. Buckminster Fuller's niece built it. We had to close this place down during COVID, and Spirit sent us over to that space. And I was meant to sit there on the edge of the cliff and go through these these openings and these evolutions of the aura.
Can we go there?
Susie called them. She's seeing if we can get that building again.
Or even just to visit.
Yeah, he's not keen on visits, but he'll soften up.
Yeah. Okay.
But I was asking more like what, not us, but what the stars do, like when they.
Oh, right.
I know that might be a whole nother class, but I'm just curious, like the blue dwarf.
Well, they change. They change their form. They get bigger and brighter, and they literally. So look it up. I want you to look it up. It's fun to look at that, to see the stages of what they do as they amass more light. They change, and they change form, and they just give them those different classification names as they get more light and more light and more light.
And that's the word we got last night was expansion.
Yeah.
So then they don't stay a star?
No.
Well, they're receiving all the light from the universe or whatever, just like we are.
Yeah.
So
Well, and
it
that's
makes
just one
sense
point of view.
That they would just get bigger and bigger and.
But I'm speaking of ourselves, because for me the truth that's actually here, you all are amazing, but you're somewhat an apparition to me.
Showing up.
Like we're just this beautiful star stuff, this pure essence light, and this, to me, it's like smoke and mirrors. This whole thing we're looking at. It's like, really, this is not that real. So I'm just saying, like, one of our perceptions of reality is that these stars keep amassing bigger, but really, like, is that what's happening? We don't know. Like, what's true inside of each of us is most important, is my point. Like, everybody's going to have their own lens of reality, understanding. And what I tend to do is, we're in a day and age of Googling things. So Spirit tells me something in the middle of my meditation. I get as much as I can. And sometimes I will look up something just to get a little bit something to bounce off of and be like, well, so, it goes from a supernova to a blue dwarf. Is that what you're telling me I'm going through right now? Yes. Oh, wow. And so then I'm able to cross-reference and get more yes and no type questions answered. So you guys ready to do an assignment?
Sure.
Okay. And then as we're prepping, notice if you're at the same area, great. But if you went to a new area, notice if the same consciousness is wanting to communicate. Are you still, as we do our assignment today, what's going to mainly want to speak to you? Again, some examples are like your inner child, your soul, your body, your ego. You could be working with a guide today. There might be a guide in the room, wants to help you. Good. And so just keep breathing. That's also, it's all helpful information so far. And we're going to breathe up and down our central channel just to give a little bit of movement and embodiment of the breath of the spirit that you be. And as your breath expands through the channel, now let it expand into the body and give it a colored light, this beautiful colored light that wants to reveal itself right now. Some of you might have multicolors. That's beautiful. Let it be, whatever it happens. And then as that light illuminates the body and the aura itself, we'll go ahead and give acknowledgement to the space. And so as you acknowledge the space around you, give that a colored light. And as we acknowledge space, even go beyond the building. Like imagine that the building is just stacked up light particles. And so we really are outside. We're all in this fluid, beautiful space. And then acknowledge the earth, Tara, Sophia, Gaia, whatever level or layer or name she works with you. Aurora. Just acknowledge this beautiful terrain we find ourselves playing with. Good. And then acknowledge what we spoke about earlier, like the stars, the heavens. Just acknowledge. You might feel your energy lift higher as you start to seek higher and seemingly direction. You're just noticing as I just give these different prompts, your ability to breathe and bring awareness to these areas. So we're getting ourselves open and expansive. And now, from our assignment, I want you to imagine, what does it look like or feel like to be this big giant oversoul, this bigger packet of consciousness beyond the 6-foot aura? What is it like? What awareness can you bring as you just create an invitation of awareness of your oversoul? Bigger packet of light. And so now all of us are aware of the oversoul to some layer or a degree. And as a group of oversouls, I want you to imagine that our light, when we start to bring in a feeling of joy, of peace, of love. So just starting with those 3 sensations, see if you can generate within yourself some joyful ease emotion that literally drives the mothership of the monad into a higher plane of existence. It may help you if you smile. It may help you to change the light color or allow the light color behind your eyes to shift. If there's a light color that could represent love, peace, joy, see if you can smile that into existence. And deepen your breath. Let your oxygen help you raise the frequency. If it needs to outward out of the mouth, trust your ability. If you need to shift your position, know that your comfort drives the ship. And then as you're breathing more consciously with colored light and breath, I want you to take a few moments now into dialogue to communicate within yourself. Use yes or no questions to yourself at whatever consciousness level. Ask and receive. And as you receive any guidance from your yes and no's, ask also when you get a moment, what's going to assist with living your best life? What do you need to know about in this position? And get confirmation on your questions. Repeat it back sometimes. Is that what you're saying? Is that what you're showing me? And then whatever the guidance is you've been receiving and around best life, I want you now to imagine your best life. Imagine the feeling of your best life. You're there now, so feel it fully. And say to yourself, if you're complete with your question, I'm living my best life. We're living our best life. Bless you. We're living our best life. Good. And from living our best life, start to gather your hands, only if it feels good to you, to your thymus. If it feels good to put your hands over your thymus, your breastplate. If it feels like your hands need to go somewhere else, trust that. But as we start to embody, we have embodied now, I'm living my best life. Smile, and I'm living my best life. Even some of you, I feel like you might need to tap your body. Just trust that I'm living my best life. And add in the others. We are living our best life. Start to gather your breath back to this here and now. And we intend, as we come back to the here and now, I am grounded, I am balanced, I am new. I am grounded, I am balanced, and I am new. I am stabilized in this best life. Good. And then when it feels right to you, we'll open our eyes. How's it going? And we're being called to get grounded outside now. So it's a strong request that we've just done a really beautiful, large adjustment for ourselves and the collective. If there's anything that needs to be shared before we complete our circle, please speak now.
I feel like we should put our bare feet on the earth.
Yeah, big time. Bare feet on the earth, bum on the earth. So want to sit on the earth. Some of you might be called to lay down on the earth.
Palms even.
Palms on the earth. How's everybody doing? Some of you ready for a nap?
Yeah.
That might be a case as well. Some of you might be called to a nap. Definitely need some fresh air. You good? Does anybody need to talk about something they are feeling before we close the circle. I feel like somebody. Yeah. Go ahead, Jorge.
I gotta say this. It's interesting. When I close my eyes, about 3 times, got like a flash.
Flash of light, yeah. Today?
And then just at the end, twice.
I experienced a flash of light as well.
Yeah, I do
You
too.
did?
I thought it was something that drove
That's
by.
what I thought too.
Yeah, I experienced a flash of light. It was like when you
We're all
said.
3 in separate
And
places.
they saw it too, so.
I did too.
Yeah.
It's like when you
I
said
thought it was
when you
outside.
looking back or something,
Yes.
or you know when you. I don't. It was very specific where you said whatever it is you said,
3
and
times.
and I saw the flash.
At the beginning,
So ask within right now. Everybody tune in right now. What was that? So listen within. I want you to ask within consciousness, what was that? Close your eyes. Ask. If it feels good, close your eyes. Trust the answer you get.
I think it was a download.
Okay, and then if you're done, open your eyes. I'll wait till everybody's eyes are open though, and then we'll share. Anyone else want to say what they heard?
It was like like those disco balls, and it's like as it floats around and then it flashes like different lights to different people. That's what I picked up. Was like a disco ball.
Okay. And Teddy, you said
Yeah, it was more or less sensing, and then there was a flash. So when I see that, it's oftentimes the master teachers coming in. So it felt like that little candlelight angels that you see in your
Yes.
meditation. It felt like right there.
yeah.
Right against that white wall, and usually we see lots of auras around the white wall. When anyone's standing there, you can see the
Yes.
large aura, and that was just a master teacher just beamed in.
Is anybody hearing what master teacher?
I just heard activation.
Activation. So we got disco ball, we've got download.
I said, not yet.
You didn't get not yet. That's what you heard, not yet. Activation, master teacher. Anybody else? Catriel?
I keep staring at Jesus over there.
Yeah, Yeshua is here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. He's coming in as Melchizedek consciousness, he just said to me, which is the teacher, which is what we're doing. You know, as the mystery school that we be, we're holding, Melchizedek means the teacher. And we hold tribe together in higher consciousness as these teachers. You know, this is why we are at the leading edge most of this lifetime, probably, even if you've just begun. Like, you believe me, you're on the leading edge. And we're here to embody that which we be, of just, my slogan this year is going to be, it's better to be loving than be right. You know, like we're here to embody this pure love.
How come what are you calling him? Isa or something?
So Master Isa. So
ISA?
ISA, sometimes I've seen it ISSA. Just because several times in my life and recently again, he's like, that's not my name. Can you please call me my name?
Higher consciousness.
Yeah. Because Jesus was placed also as Zeus. It was actually meant Zeus. So we're actually saying Zeus when we say Jesus.
Zeus?
Yeah. It's just when you start breaking it all down in the Ascension Code, you start seeing the layers that have been layered upon, and the maps that have been changed, and the books that have been changed, and the Bibles that have been changed, and everything's been changed so many times.
But where does Isa come from?
That was his name.
Arabic.
Yeah.
It's said in Islam.
And it'd be fun. I was telling Daniel this morning, it'd be fun for us to maybe dissect the Aramaic Bible. Because if you read I'm holding the Bible this morning, and consciousness made me read James 3 about the word, and that when we speak the word in kindness and in wholeness and in God, true love, light, I'm just paraphrasing, obviously, then good things are here. But we could easily have fire on our tongue and say something unconscious, and we create reality that is distorted. And so the word is so powerful, right? It's mightier than the sword. But I was telling Daniel, my husband, I said, gosh, we really need to like get an Aramaic Bible. Can you get one for us? I don't know, I just saw the librarian.
So
But let me just finish that. So we really need an Aramaic Bible, because I feel like in Aramaic, it would be in wholeness speak. I don't even feel like it would have translated what I've read this morning in James. It wouldn't be saying exactly, because I've seen at least the prayer, the main prayer, our Lord's Prayer in Aramaic. I have that book. The
You know who speaks Aramaic is what's her name from Serenity Now? You know
Vanessa?
Yeah, Vanessa. She self-taught herself, and she has the Lord's Prayer in Aramaic.
So do I. I have that. Maybe let's do a study group here on that book.
Yeah,
if you guys are open, anybody.
She can probably get you a Bible in Aramaic.
Yeah, and I'll look it up. If it comes in your awareness, let me know. Send it to me. Yeah, I'll buy it. Yeah.
I sent you something similar. It's Safaria. It won't have like the New Testament stuff, but it does have other things in Aramaic, other teachings and stuff. And
Yeah.
you can search through there. There's a lot, and it will have direct translations. And
Yes.
stuff.
I mean, it's kind of like, a lot of the languages that are more symbols, like, Asian languages and things like that, as far as our alphabet goes, the way the Bible has been translated, when you at least read that Lord's Prayer, it is nothing what we've been saying. Like, nothing. It's so, like, upside down. So, but we love it all. And we bless it all, and it's all perfect and whole, because we can see the wholeness of it all. So, we have compassion on this journey. So we have the master teacher flashing, and Jorge, so glad you spoke, right?
Thank you. I
So,
don't usually speak too much.
right, but you were told to speak. Anybody else had something happen when we did that was a big adjustment. I felt it. Like, everybody feeling good? Be honest.
Yes.
Okay.
When I was just heard like living your best life, it was just be in the present moment and be in gratitude, and something about like just like the showering of light that was coming out around me and stuff.
Yeah.
I'll remember the rest because I kept dozing off, but definitely be in the present moment and gratitude and stuff.
Yeah. It's so important being in the present moment. We talked about last night, and just the power we have right now. Like, it makes you not want to get up.
Makes you want to knock it up.
Yeah, like you just keep sitting,
It's only 2:12.
Is it? Yeah, we did some major time adjustments today.
Wow, really?
Yeah, I mean, there's no normal, but
It's not even 2:22 yet.
so we've stretched time. Because why? So what is time?
An illusion.
It's a construct. It's actually the spin rate of a particle. So when we slow down our particles, how do we slow them down? Well, we meditate. Breath. We got really big just a minute ago. We stretched. Literally stretched time. We got really big and spread out for a moment. And the particles slow down. So meaning, like let's just say, this is a particle of light. And every time it spins once, it's creating time. So the faster it's spinning, the faster it's going, or the slower it's going. So as light stabilizes itself, which is what we talked about with the energy centers, you're learning how to master your emotions and be stealth and get them to stabilize so you can rise higher in your mountaintop, which is ascension. And then you're asked to come back down. Sorry. Get your feet on the ground. You're not done yet.
Yeah, right.
But you get to come back down.
Yeah.
Boy. So you come back down, right? But you're stabilized. And you're able to do what Sibel said. You're able to be present. And you use tricks and tools like, well, let me be grateful right now. Let me breathe. Let me slow down. It's powerful.
I love gratitude because it's just like, let me just be grateful for whatever it is in that moment. And it's like a relaxing in it.
Yep. The fastest healing we can find is by relaxing. The first of the 3 R's when we first started coming with the R's for here was relax. Like, if you relax, you're good. If you rejoice, you're good. And if you realize, right, the more self-realization that happens for us, we're good. We can enjoy this experience that we find ourselves. It's such a powerful, wow, like we're here at this time. Like when I was driving here, remembering what I needed to talk about with the Oversoul, I had that feeling like, wow, like, I mean, I'm going to be new again? Like, yeah. Like there's a whole newness coming, you know? Yes. And it's just, it's fun to talk to yourself.
You do seem
It is.
very different today than just,
Cool.
yeah.
Been up on the mountaintop, I'm coming
I
down.
think we all seem so different. Like
Yes.
Day by day, week by week.
Yeah. We're all
That's
dropping
it.
deeper in. It is, yeah.
I just want to clarify some things especially when the solar flares were brought up. I'm super sensitive with that solar energy, and so I feel it in my body, I feel it in my spine, and I usually have pressure in my head and my ears. So that is more of the collective energy, the monadic oversoul energy that I'm feeling at that point in time. And
You would have to ask,
right.
but I would maybe have that be your first question.
Okay.
And I didn't bring it up, so I'm glad we stretched time. That I too, in my 20s, I was teaching yoga, and I had the Earth Star, you know, which is, I didn't talk about it too much. The Earth Star is kind of like where you land and you literally impregnate the Earth, and here you are, you know, it's kind of like this binding tether. And so I was, you know, I would typically do like one of our sequences, like become a tree, grow your tree roots into the earth. And I would get really nauseous. And I'm like, what is going on? You know, I'm like leading these big yoga classes. And I sat in meditation, and they said, you need to stop doing that. Like, you've got to lift your Earth Star out of the earth. You've got to start hovering. And I had to hover for years, you know, meaning I had to lift that Earth Star. And that's when I developed, or I didn't, but Spirit had me develop a technique so that I could stabilize. And so I would watch where it would overlay. We've done this in class before, where I would say, okay, well, where does the majority of my essence want to center at? If I'm hovering, where does my essence want to go? And that's what we did just now. So that adjustment, while you're going through sensitivities, I want you to ask, where should I shift my focus and be centered? Meaning the majority of when you closed your eyes earlier, you guys pointed to an area. That means like majority of your soul essence started to lift or to be more focused at a certain area. And then it also then exit out that door hole. Like, let's say I was focused here. So I'd be more focused on a higher plane of existence. When I do look out, it's like I'm more, you know, focused on a higher frequency subset of energies.
There again, looking through a different lens.
Looking through a different lens. So if you notice, ask yourself right now, what will make me feel more stable, more balanced while these energies are going on? And where do you get?
Water.
What point on your body?
Oh.
But that's good too. I'm glad you shared that water.
Water.
where should your if you could start to become more stellar with driving your starship, where does your energy want to be noticed that'll be more balanced for you to be centered along your central channel at a certain specific point? Yep. That's where I see it. It's lighting up huge. So then you would, and this is the wildest thing. Like, to have to ask my body to do that, that's what I had to do. Otherwise it was like, what's going on?
Right, okay.
I was just going to mention for everyone that when the solar activity gets really high, ground the best you can, even if you have to imagine grounding. If you're in an airplane, I had to do that. I had to imagine grounding from the airplane. Like, I wanted to put my feet on the earth, and I love flying, but I felt it, so I had to envision like the all the way down, thousands of feet to touch the earth. But that helps me because those energies are big and compressed, and when they hit me, it feels like it unpacks, right? And if you don't have some way to connect, it gives me headaches, like you said, and the pressure, and
I've been that's the thing is, like, I've been feeling it more and more the last month or two.
Yeah, we're in
Becoming
solar
way
maximum
stronger,
right
so.
now too, so.
And they say that your pets and the animals can help you ground too.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Like when I'm holding my kitty, I just get like so centered. Because
Animals are wonderful for that.
Yeah. Madette, what were you gonna say?
So I worked the weekend and I was fine. And when I woke up Monday morning, I was really dizzy. You guys know vestibular therapy
Yes.
with the crystals?
Yeah.
So I was really dizzy. So when I got up, I almost fell going to the bathroom. I'm like, what the heck, And I'm like, okay. So I was talking to some friends, and they're like, yeah, vestibular therapy, and there's crystals, and it's part of the aging process, blah, 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 blah. And then a friend of mine told me about the solar flares, and the minute that she said that, the recognition of it
Gave you a confirmation.
yeah, and I was like, oh, so we're connected, obviously, to this. So my body is connected. So it has nothing to do with all this other stuff, which is not part of my reality. But so the minute I knew that, and all of a sudden it just kind of disappeared, I'm just like, okay, I'm a part of this, and we're all going through this together, and it's all good.
Yes. Remember, if you don't go through these things, how are you going to know?
Right.
That's why the research you do within yourself, you find out, you ask a good question, or somebody, you're in the line and you overhear them talking. It's just you're hearing yourself over talking through other people.
Right.
So if whatever that information comes in and gives you recognition, you then feel better.
Yes.
So that's what I mean, know how powerful you are to get the understanding. Let's say the understanding was your consciousness wanted you to evolve to learn about your connection with the celestials through the solar flares. So you going through that, you got the recognition. These light particles, which are your soul's essence, can come home now because you just figured it out. And that's how you become a star and an ascended master. Because you keep figuring it out. It's called self-realization. And then things stop affecting you. And when they do affect you, you go, okay, this is awesome. I'm evolving even more.
And that's what I kept hearing in my head, self-mastery.
Yes.
I just kept hearing it over and over, self-mastery.
So those of you all of us at those times where we've had these big things, wow, we were doing massive jump. Massive evolution, massive mastery. Some of the times I know for me, I was laid out. I didn't know I was supposed to be looking for something as a child. I was just crying to Yeshua, to Issa, what do you have me here about? I couldn't hear, but I'm sure I was getting my answer somewhere else. So now that I can hear, now we have these skills. If you can't hear, you could use a pendulum. You could do the body sway muscle testing, but just be willing to do some asking. Okay. So much love. Thank you. Let's all go get grounded in nature.